What's going on, everybody? My name is Millen. I'm co-founder and CEO here at TrueHorizon, and today I'm going to be walking you through the exact step-by-step framework and playbook that I've used to close over $2.5 million in sales for my AI agency. Now, this is going to be a step-by-step framework for building an AI services business based on my real experience and the experience of my team to actually go ahead and scope, sell, and close a bunch of deals. And so, jumping right into it, why trust this playbook at all? Again, this is way more than a theory. It's a proven framework that we've developed across dozens of engagements from real-world experience in the AI services market. So again, just some kind of credibility things here. Year to date, we formed the company in January. We have done over $2.5 million in sales. We are looking to scale to $250,000 per month by the year end 2025, which at the time of recording this is about 4 months away, so on track to hit that target. This is across 25 plus client engagements, working with pre-revenue startups up to SMBs, up to mid-market companies, all the way up to Fortune 500 and multinational enterprises. Again, everything in here is 100% practical, really focused on just providing as much value as possible from all the lessons that me and my two co-founders, Nate Herc and Tyler Baucom, have learned in the trenches and in the hard way. So jumping right into it, what we're going to cover today, again, this is going to be a comprehensive guide to navigating the AI services and AI agency landscape from initial client engagement all the way to successful deal closure and beyond. So first, we're going to start by understanding the current AI agency landscape and what the opportunity actually is. From there, we're going to go into the 3 phases of any successful AI deal cycle, how to overcome the most common objections that we get, and then some final tips for scaling your AI business. By the end of the video, you will walk away with a fundamental understanding of exactly how we scale so fast and the exact processes that you need to repeat to go ahead and close AI implementation and AI agency deals for yourself. And so before we jump into the meat of what we got going on, just want to kind of touch base, I guess, on the reality of building an AI agency or AI services business. As we're about to see, it truly is a generational opportunity. We are so early in the adoption curve, and there is so much money to be made in the space, truly. However, it's not easy money. And so, contrary to what every AI agency guru will tell you, building an AI services business is entrepreneurship at its core, and it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of mistakes, and it takes a lot of hard work. In the beginning, you're going to handle everything from initial client discovery, whether that's outreach, whether that's creating content. Some pre-sales tasks are going to be things like relationship building, paperwork with MSAs, NDAs, contracts, scoping different projects, determining revenue models, building relationships. After you actually close the deal, you're going to need to engineer the actual solution, which, spoiler alert, is not as easy as just copying and pasting an end-to-end template. The reality is all of these AI agency gurus have correctly realized that it is easier for them to sell you a course or a community than to actually scale an AI agency, which is why they tell you it's so easy. And so with all that being said, it is a generational opportunity. Lots of people are making lots of money, and you can too. Just have to be aware that this is pure entrepreneurship and it's not easy. So with that kind of public disclaimer going out there, let's jump into it. And what exactly is this opportunity, right? Right now, it's an unprecedented time in human history. We're seeing every single business in existence faced with an existential pressure to adopt AI in the next few years or die, which is absolutely true. We see a massive skills gap where most of the workforce doesn't actually know how to use AI or correctly prompt ChatGPT, much less implement ROI generating systems or AI agents in production that actually drive value for the business. We also see a ton of market confusion where, again, these low-ticket AI agency gurus are selling lies and smoke. Legacy firms move extremely slowly and are more expensive than what most of the market can actually afford. And the VC landscape is full of fluff products that don't actually deliver true value. And so the result is that companies are lost in the noise, flooded with tools, and starved for systems that actually work and are ultimately going to drive value and profitability for the business. However, on the flip side, what we're seeing are compounding ROI for even the most basic AI automations to empower teams and deliver significant returns for those companies that can successfully adopt AI. And we're, of course, seeing a rapid rate of innovation where even experts like the folks at our company have a hard time keeping up because there's just some new AI tool, some new algorithmic breakthrough literally every single day. And so these two things compounded are really what's driving kind of the life force behind this opportunity. So very exciting time to be alive, honestly. And those folks who capitalize now are going to surely reap the rewards. And so moving on here, this is going to be phase one of any successful deal cycle. And it's the discovery phase, arguably the most important phase, where you as the AI agency owner or the salesperson are going to map the pain points and lay the foundation for what it is that you're actually going to deliver. And so there's a few things to do here. Before you hop on a call with a prospect, you obviously want to research that prospect, find different grounds that you can get a relationship off on the right foot. Maybe you went to the same school, maybe you're from the same area. And additionally, you can look at that prospect's company and brainstorm different automation opportunities based on their services or their products that they offer. Now, there's a whole other process as to how to actually get folks on discovery calls, and I can make a separate video on that. But it boils down to two things, is outreach and making content. If you reach out to enough people and you make enough content about AI, positioning yourself as a thought leader, do enough volume, you're going to get discovery calls guaranteed. There are so many people who are interested in this. And so once you get the discovery call, right, do your pre-call research. Make sure you're not going in there totally blind. Once you're on the call, start off strong, right? Clarify the call purpose. And the number one leading question that we use in every single discovery call to this date is, how bullish are you on AI? The prospect's answer to this question is essentially going to tell you everything that you need to know and whether or not that prospect is actually worth you investing more time to sell to. You're going to get generally two types of answers to this question. The first answer is going to be a super bullish prospect who says, yeah, man, I've been watching a ton of Nate's content. I've been messing around in N8N. I have a roadmap, 7, 8, 9 AI agents that I want to implement for my business. That is by far the highest buying signal that we have seen so far, is a prospect that has their own AI agent roadmap already. If that happens, take that and run with it, right? Listen to their needs, listen to why they've scoped out those agents for themselves initially, sell them on your technical expertise by giving them real implementation guidance on that call, and that sale is essentially going to write itself. For the second group are people who are maybe a little bit less bullish. Their answer might be something like, oh, I'm interested. I know I should be thinking about it for my business, but don't really know too much. When you get that answer, you can fall back here on the 4 pillars of automation. This is essentially how we identify areas of ROI for automations and AI agents using these 4 buckets of repetitive tasks, time-consuming tasks, error-prone, and scalable tasks. You can essentially conduct a discovery with the prospect, asking them these questions, and the answer to these questions are going to essentially give you areas where you can go ahead and build out automations and different LLM workflows. And so this is the same framework that we still use, although most of the clients that hop on calls with us now are pretty bullish on AI. But when we were first getting started, this framework helped us out a lot. And so completing the discovery phase, a few key things you want to do. First and foremost, you want to get a really robust understanding of that prospect's tech stack and integration mapping. This is what you can use on the second call, which we'll talk about in a second, to actually prove ROI and deliver them a demo. But you basically want to understand, okay, here are 3 or 4 automations that they're interested in. What are the technologies that we need to use and that the prospect already uses to actually complete those? So for example, if we wanted to scope out a marketing agent and the prospect has decided that they want to have a content creation agent for their marketing department, what you can do is you can understand what CRM do they use, where do they currently get content ideas, where do they currently get research, do they have a customer data platform? By answering these questions and getting answers, you can deliver a super high value demo in the next phase. The next thing you want to do is get budget, timeline, and authority from that prospect. This is essentially qualifying criteria to see if that prospect is worth your time. So in short, do they have the budget to actually pay you what you deserve to get paid? Are they on any type of specific timeline where they need to deliver a solution for a given stakeholder or by a certain time? And do they actually have the authority to pull the trigger? Are you talking to the C-suite or the owner or the founder, or are you talking to someone that's going to have to go through multiple layers of decision making before they can actually pull the trigger and get you paid? And so getting answers to these three things are going to be pretty critical. Success criteria, that can come in more so in the next phase, but if you can start driving towards that here, that would also be great. And finally, closing the discovery call. So this is the most important thing probably on this page. This has increased my close rate by an absolutely crazy amount. What you want to do is you want to lock in a second call with that prospect while you're live on the call. Okay, so for example, by the end of the call, you say, okay, Mr. Prospect, we discussed XYZ thing. You're aiming for X by Y, where X is a business outcome or a value-driven, business process. By Y is a timeline. Book a call literally right there. So say, hey, Mr. Prospect, how does Thursday at 2 p.m. sound? And if they say yes, send them the invite right there. If they say no, find another time. This is going to improve your close rate. I promise you, this is some sauce right here. Book the second call on the first call. So with all that being said, now you are at a phase where you have understood the business problems and the business processes to the point where you could strategically recommend a few points of ROI. You have started to build a relationship with a client. You understand their tech stack and their data infrastructure, at least to like a preliminary degree, and you have locked in a second call with that prospect 3 to 4 days from now. Cool. What's next? So after this, you are going to go ahead in the proving value phase. And so this is what the second call is all about. It's really all about demoing ROI and helping the prospect to build a business case as to why they should give you money, which, the short answer is they should give you money because they're going to get more out of it. And it's your job to essentially prove that. And so what you can do in between the discovery call and this proving value call is you take everything that you learned from there. You take the recommendations that you're making to the client as to, what AI automation do you actually want to build for them? And you can create a high fidelity demo for them. So for example, taking this content creation use case, if the client said, yeah, okay, I'm in the insurance industry and I want to publish blog posts and LinkedIn posts. From the discovery call to the proving value time, what you can do in that time is actually create this workflow, right? I recommend using N8N. There's tons of other tools out there, but you can basically make this workflow that does deep research on the insurance industry and creates a SEO optimized blog post and a LinkedIn post in that person's tone based on previous posts that they've published on LinkedIn, as one example. And essentially, you want to do this for all your prospects, but this is really going to help the client see the value. If you show up to that second call, essentially having built out what it is that they're looking for, and they can see that you did that, that is an amazing thing you can do to go ahead and close the deal. And so on this proving value call, what you want to do is recap the pain points that were uncovered during discovery. In this marketing use case, maybe the pain point is I'm paying a large salary to a marketing agency and it's eating up a ton of my time. So recap that, provide the live demo of the customized solution, which is exactly solving those pain points that you just recapped, and also address the integration requirements if there's a difficulty there. So if you need to integrate with the prospect's CRM and they're using some like crazy third-party CRM with a horrible API, you want to be upfront that this might add some time to the delivery time. You can also very much so recommend another CRM that you have experience in and that's easier to work with. So being transparent about the integration and the data side of things is only going to help you because it level sets expectations and also proves your expertise a lot more. And essentially on this call as well, you want to go ahead and build a quantified business case, right? So for this content case, maybe he's paying his agency $10K a month and he's spending 30 hours a month on that whole content process that you just automated. You can show, okay, here's how much I'm charging, here's how much you're spending and how much time you're spending, and go ahead and create a quantified business case that clearly shows the ROI. And so some recommended tools here again. Like I said, my firm uses N8N. This has been the absolute best platform for quick and scalable workflows. Easiest thing to demo, easiest thing to work with, and a lot of our prospects are already familiar with it because they come inbound through my co-founder's YouTube channel. There are some alternatives here, right? Make.com, Lizer AI, Relevance AI, different open source options. There are tons of these agent builders now. ultimately just use whatever's going to be easiest for you to deliver with and close deals. It really doesn't matter, and the prospects definitely don't care. It's for them, it's all about getting the workflow shipped, getting the value in production. So it really doesn't matter. Just like use whatever you're going to be best at. Again, strongly recommend N8N here. And you always can go custom code. If you're coming from an engineering background, you always have that option to go custom solution, but don't really recommend that unless you're delivering for an enterprise, honestly. So that is the second phase. Now, typically where you're at with the prospect is a lot of times you'll be able to close them on that call because they're so hot. They've seen the workflow in action and they're like, all right, like get me ready to sign. In which case, you definitely want to have your paperwork ready for that call. So like you definitely want to have a contract ready. If you're using a contract sending software, like you definitely want to have everything kind of loaded up so that you can go ahead and get signature and invoice them on that call. That's the most ideal. Lock in the payment, lock in the signature, and you're basically good to go. If that doesn't happen and the prospect for whatever reason wants to have another call, which actually happens quite often, sometimes they want to bring in another stakeholder. Sometimes they like want some time to consider or whatnot. And there's obviously sales strategies to overcome these objections. But let's say you do have to have a closing call after this proving value call. What you really want to do here is frame everything that you said and everything that you've proven so far in value and not in cost. So come to this call with a proposal, literally with your Google Doc, your contract, whatever it is. And on this call, you're going to share your screen and walk through the contract with the prospect. That has helped us a lot as well in terms of close rate. Many times prospects will see that, will make edits together live on the call. This is like normally a pretty fun like negotiation thing if you like enjoy sales where the prospect is going to push back, you push back, they ask for a feature, then you increase the price, whatever it is, right? But you essentially negotiate with the prospect on that call. Again, frame everything in value, right? What is the value that you're providing to that business and to that business owner? And there's a few different pricing models to go with here for an AI agency. We use project-based at first, and that ended up not being the best. In my next video, I'm going to break that down a little bit more. I strongly recommend a monthly retainer model here for an AI agency, and pricing that in is going to save you and the prospect a ton of headache. But in short, the problem we had with project-based was it's very difficult to come up with objective, like Boolean binary success criteria for an AI project because LLMs are inherently non-deterministic. And so we would charge 50% upfront and 50% upon delivery. And because the LLM wasn't behaving like 100% of the right 100% of the time, prospects would pretty much just keep going back and forth with us before sending the second payment, and which just pretty much created an endless development cycle, which was pretty bad to deal with, which is why I strongly recommend the monthly retainer option where you can work in these changes and, and deliver that way. And so, again, strongly recommend that as your pricing model. I can do an entire separate video on how to actually price these solutions and what these models actually look like in practice. But high level, that's what the closing call is about. Getting the signature, getting the payment in so that you can actually go ahead and kick off development. And so with that being said, that is essentially the end of an AI deal cycle. Now you have gone from discovery to proving value to closing the deal, and you are now fully in delivery and fulfillment. And so I can make another video as to how to actually, deliver properly. I mean, that's a whole other set of things. But some of the most common questions or objections that we get are here. So the first one being IP ownership. A lot of times prospects ask about who owns the end-to-end workflows and who owns the code. As typical in software services, we always say that the prospect owns everything upon deployment, which is very typical. And you can obviously structure this in a way where as you build stuff for clients, like yes, that flow is owned by them, but you're the builder of that flow. So you know exactly what it is that you have to do to build that flow, and you can certainly go ahead and resell similar implementations. And so, but again, when it comes to IP ownership, pretty safe, pretty standard here. Client owns everything. When it comes to technology choices, a lot of times prospects will ask, hey, are we going to use OpenAI, or are we going to use Anthropic, or are we going to use Grok, or which vector database are we going to use? We always say, and we always actually do this, is we A/B test different models and different vector databases, and we share metrics that we can make decisions together. So for example, once we get to POC for a given system, we will use OpenAI and we will use Anthropic, and we'll show the prospect, at this point that they're your customer, we'll show the customer, hey, here's OpenAI's output, it costs this much. Here's Anthropic's output, it costs this much. Maybe one's a little bit higher quality output, but a little bit more expensive. And like that, we'll make decisions together with the client. And that actually helps a lot in the sales cycle because it proves your expertise and it shows that, you kind of been around the block and you kind of know what you're doing here. Post-build support, this is why I highly recommend the monthly retainer option, because you can build in these SLAs in a given monthly retainer that you sell. But we always say that, we offer support and handoff. Typically, we'll do 1 month free post go live, and that's a pretty good selling point right there. Data privacy. If you're developing an N8N, you can go ahead and show N8N's cloud security promises. So they have certain SLAs, certain security requirements that they have. Those are essentially going to be yours if you're developing on N8N Cloud. So you can address that concern like that. And always starting small, right? Many prospects are scared about an upfront investment. It's something new. They've typically never spent money on AI unless it's like a ChatGPT plan. And so kind of encouraging them, reassuring them that you're going to start small, modular design. You're going to prove ROI and draft a POC extremely quickly with one process. And from there, you'll be able to expand out. The land and expand strategy is really an amazing thing here for an AI agency, because as soon as you deploy one AI solution, it becomes pretty apparent that there's like 5 more features you can throw on top of that. That's just the nature of these LLMs. And so definitely recommend starting small here. So some final tips to close out and scale your AI business. Strategic approach, again, if you're just getting started, like definitely start with SMBs for quick wins and then target enterprises once you get some projects under your belt. Again, master tools like N8N for speed, and there's a ton of community support. And again, this is just an absolute grind. So really just like grind through the challenges. It's going to be tough, but you'll get there quicker than you think. And trust me, there's people that you're probably a lot smarter than that are making a lot of money doing this. And again, this really is one of the greatest opportunities of our lifetime. It's a super in-demand skill, so highly suggest investing in this skill. And so that being said, that's basically all I had today. If you made it all the way here, that's amazing. Appreciate your support for watching all the way through. If this channel actually ends up getting views or going anywhere, I'll be putting more and more videos out there. Really just trying to share our mistakes and our learnings and add as much value as possible. And so with that being said, appreciate your support, and see you in the next one. Peace.